our world is now connected.
We will be able to lift a lot of people out of poverty.
That's a great point. I completely agree.
So when do you think we can reach this $5 trillion mark?
We actually, at that point of time, 2 years back, said that at least 30% of the papers in the market will get downgraded.
We put a disclaimer as per SEBI regulations.
Yes.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risk. Read offer document carefully. So now, since you are in the board of AMFI, I would like to ask this question.
We have also missed this whole aspect of manufacturing boom, which many countries like China or even emerging countries like Taiwan, Korea have enjoyed.
One of the things, say like even our finance minister some time ago, when they discuss or, in parliament, every time they tell that, we want to become a $5 trillion economy. From an economic perspective, from a market capitalization perspective, we reached $3 trillion some time back. So, which is a great moment for a country like India. We are on the growth path. So, when do you think we can reach this $5 trillion mark?
That happens because of two reasons. One is market appreciation. So if market goes up and you are at 2 trillion and market doubles, the 2 trillion will become 4 trillion.
True.
The second aspect is when you have new listings. So if LIC gets listed, hypothetically, and the government divests a part of it, then automatically you will see almost, I would imagine, at least $200 billion getting added to the market cap, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Because that will be the market cap of, say, LIC at a bare minimum. It can be even more. So as these big new companies come to the market, one is, I think the government will need to divest. And because of the divestment program, they will bring a lot of PSUs which are 100% owned by them, and they will divest, and that will get added to the market cap. On the flip side, you have these startup IT companies, the so-called companies which started off in the last decade, and now they have reached sort of unicorn status. $1 billion market cap is when you cross the unicorn status. On one side, the PSU companies getting listed. On the other side, you have all these new age companies also getting listed. And as a combination of both of that, my sense is over the next 2-3 years, we are going to have a very busy time in the IPO segment. And with the new listings, that will also add to the market cap. And if the market appreciation continues even at the rate of hypothetically 10-15% from year on year for the next 5 years, you should be able to achieve it in the defined time frame of the government, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, that is good. So that should be, because say like right now, probably India is neck to neck in the third position with many countries like Germany or France, whatever, some of the UK, some of the European countries, and that the difference is hardly not there. I mean, it could be like 0.1 trillion, 0.2 trillion, whatever.
Would it matter, Mr. Chokalingam? My question to you is, this whole 3 trillion year or Germany being 5 trillion or US, I think our world is now connected. So today I'm offering a global product which I run in the US to the Indian investor. So for him, it shouldn't matter whether,
No, my only thought process is, say like when the economy grows,
yes,
we will be able to lift a lot of people out of poverty.
That's a great point. I completely agree.
So
I completely agree.
That is my thought process. Say like when I see, when I graduated in 1988, 1990, something 1988, I started off as in Hindelco Industries as an assistant engineer with 2,000 rupees as a trainee engineer. Today, it is like 10 times, 15 times, 20 times people start as trainee engineer.
Absolutely, no question on that.
So that way, I'm more happy that the money flows down.
Yes. No, I completely agree on that point. I think we are in that golden decade period where it started, I think, in the year 2018-19, when virtually every year for the next 10 years, you will have around 2 crore or 20 million people joining the workforce. This decade you will have a lot of people joining the workforce. I think the challenge which this government has is, can it provide adequate jobs and sort of jobs which will give satisfaction to these people coming out of colleges. You don't want a situation where uh, the jobs are being created as delivery boys or just call centers. You want jobs to come in more value added products itself, in manufacturing jobs which are more long term in nature. So I think that's the biggest challenge this government faces, and I hope we can come out of it strongly on those areas as well.
I don't have a guy who has done elsewhere and coming to me. It's all whoever I see, the first time investor, and I have tough time. We have tough time to handhold them for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
After that, I need not market them
Yes.
or I need not sell them any product. They will buy automatically. So that is the challenge I have. But in general, you will have some macro picture how these retail clients are coming and how the participation is increasing.
We added 20 lakh new retail investors to the mutual fund industry. So the number of unique PANs which came in was 20 lakhs. So the number of unique investors in India is yet extremely low. It's just 2.3 crores.
Okay.
And we really have a very, very long way to go. I look at my Chinese counterpart. In China, we have a very large operation. We manage close to $80 billion in China. So I think our message is very powerful, but somewhere else the conversion rate is high, and that's the opportunity for us.
Most of the human beings, we have an instinct towards gambling.
Absolutely.
Generally. So
yeah,
whenever, even sometimes investors ask me, so can we make 36% every year? Can I will tell them, I won't be in this business.
No, but if the other question to ask them is, if you can make 36% or 50% or 100% in 1 year, you know that it is risky, right? How much money are you willing to put from your wealth in that risky product? Your chances are you are just going to put 2 to 5 rupees in that. You are not going to put your 100 rupees in that. So, allow us to manage that 100 rupees or 90 rupees for you. With the other 10 rupees, you want to take your chances, please do that. That would be my only advice in that sense.
True. And you are also on the board of AMFI, Association of Mutual Funds in India. Now, just I would like to hear from you, what is the AMFI's outlook for the industry? And this mutual fund Sai campaign was a fantastic one. Thanks to AMFI, and it brought to limelight, what is investment, how one should approach, etc. So along those lines, what is AMFI doing, and what is AMFI's outlook for the industry? How they want to bring it up?
Yeah, so I've been on the AMFI board for over 10 years now. I'm also the vice chairman at this point of time on the AMFI board. And I think, look, at this point of time, we have just set ourselves a very simple target that this industry needs to first reach 10 crore investors from the current 2.3 crores. The faster this happens, it will be good for the investors. It will be good for us. It will be good for all our partners like yourselves, because it will be a much wider base of clientele which we have. And automatically then the volumes will come in. So very clearly, I think from a number perspective, we want to basically reach out to 10 crore investors. I think the last 5-7 years, this investor awareness program has done us a lot of good. The mutual fund Sahi campaign has been well appreciated everywhere. In fact, other allied finance industries have started doing the same thing. So it's great. I think, look, that whole aspect of bringing about the transparency in these financial products, why you should look at it from a long-term perspective, I think we all understand the benefits of that. So what we feel good about is when millennials who are just joining the workforce and they start investing in mutual funds at an early age, It's very heartening to see, because otherwise, if you see the age profile of most of our investors, they are after 40 years and above, actually. So I think that that whole aspect is changing, and my sense is in the next 5 years, it will change dramatically. We will have a lot of younger investors.
In every mutual fund transaction, we put a disclaimer as per SEBI regulations.
Yes.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risk. Read offer document carefully, etc., etc. Okay. So now, since you are in the board of AMFI, I would like to ask this question. Say, like gold as an investment is subject to market risk. It is subject to market price. Real estate as an investment is subject to market risk. It goes up and goes down. Fixed deposits is an unsecured thing. It is unofficially guaranteed by Government of India or RBI. They make sure that retail investors. So it is also not a guaranteed product. Nothing is written there. In general, I'm talking. So in SEBI right now is a very great regulator, a great organization, and it has made many things really well for the industry. I really appreciate it. But there is a stage beyond which we should start moving up. We should remove those words or put it like mutual fund investments are subject to market risk, like gold, real estate, etc. Something like that, so that a common man can understand. Otherwise, what they say is, see, the government is telling it is riskier.
Yes.
Yeah, for a common man, very common man, I'm not talking. So my request to you is, in your meetings, in AMFI deliberations, if you can recommend to SEBI to do something, along those lines, or at least to take a relook. That's what my request is.
No, it's a fair suggestion, and we have been taking it up with the regulators very often.
Okay.
I think the regulators are also cognizant of it, and they just feel that at this point of time, when our first objective is to increase this base of investors from, say, 2.3 crores, which it is currently, to 10 crores, let us basically highlight this. Once that base becomes large, we will definitely change the message. Okay. But at this point of time, we don't want any sort of mis-selling to happen. So yes, that message sounds very, at times, for the first time investor, you're absolutely right, it sounds scary. But I think in a way, we are, as an industry, we are being conservative and we are being extremely transparent.
Yeah, true.
I think what I just keep telling all our distributor partners and clients is, if you have a real estate agent, he's sold you one property, he will not show you his face again. If you have an insurance agent, he will sell you a policy and he will not show you his face again. I think as mutual fund, advisors, we go every month. We show our face. We show the entire statement of where your investments are in a very transparent fashion. Now, anybody who experiences it will know who is your trusted friend and who is not. Yeah. I just feel, yes, you're right. That message can be changed. Let's hope we can convince the authorities to change it at the earliest.
Thank you. And coming back to the fund side, last year, some of the fund houses faced trouble in managing the debt, and they had some issues, etc., etc. You are one of the few fund houses who came out clean on your debt fund investments. I mean, almost it was intact, and there were no worries, etc. For the last few years, not only last year, the debt category. Of course, equity is managed well, and people know there is risk. But in debt, people expect no risk to be there, and then So now, still you are managing the same way, and many debt funds are doing good. I mean, first thing is as you say, the credibility, the transparency, and the high-rated products, etc. So what were you doing right, and how you manage your debt portfolio? You stick to only highly rated AAA qualities, and how do you do that generally?
No, that's a very fair question, Mr. Chokalingam. And honestly speaking, we were impacted at one point of time with the IL&FS crisis. So when the IL&FS crisis started in October 2018, I think the whole industry was taken aback, because after 30 years, something which was rated AAA in 1 month defaulted. Otherwise, in the past 30 years before IL&FS, there was not a single AAA paper which had defaulted. and that too so quickly. It opened up a lot of our eyes, and when we started basically getting then into the qualitative part of a lot of NBFCs and financial service companies. Clearly, the rating agencies, the ratings they were giving, were perhaps not acceptable to us. We had to change that. So
Okay.
they may have given a AAA rating to somebody, but internally we are rating them as only A or A plus, and we may not be giving them that AAA rating. The normal perception of a retail investor is that if I have invested in debt, I want a good night's sleep. If I can't get a good night's sleep, there's no point remaining invested in debt. The second aspect, what we were telling all our clients is, one is this whole aspect of default, but the second aspect is of downgrade. So this is a mark to market, right? I mean, you have to mark to market every instrument, even in debt. So if there is a downgrade, also your NAV comes down, and you have to be very careful on the downgrade. So we actually, at that point of time, 2 years back, said that at least 30% of the papers in the market will get downgraded. And I think that has played out. Maybe it has got delayed because of this moratorium period during pandemic. It will play out over the next 2-3 years also. Now, if there is a downgrade, if many of the papers in your portfolio get downgraded, you will lose money.
Yep.
And we did not want that. Uh, and therefore, we moved out of that completely. So what I feel happy about as an outcome today is that in the last 2 years, there's not been a single debt paper in my debt portfolios which has even got downgraded. I'm not talking about default.
Wow.
I'm saying that not a single paper in any of my portfolios has got downgraded even one notch. And that's what I feel good about, that at least what we are telling our investors is we are a safe player, a safe pair of hands. And this is the kind of due diligence which we do, that we don't even want a downgrade. Forget even coming close to a default at this point of time. I think we'll maintain that stance of us for the next 2-3 years. Let this whole thing play out, and then we will see what to do further on from there. But there's no point taking risk in debt and losing your night's sleep.
Yeah, true. I agree with you. That is, congratulations to your team. Global equities. Now, as you have also launched a fund, this Consumer Trends Fund, and a lot of people are coming out with innovation fund, technology fund. So there is all of a sudden there is a love affair with foreign equities. Some of the few fund houses already had those funds, but they were subtle. But nowadays it has become a fashion. It may be because of I think RBI allowing free remittances, but for fund of funds that's not an issue at all. There was a limit. So is it because of US markets going up and these technology stocks going up in the last 1 year, and seeing that returns, these fund houses are launching a lot of international funds, or is there really substance to invest overseas?
So I would like to answer it in 2-3 points. And the simple answer is there is substance in investing overseas. And I'll tell you the very clear reason for that. One, India is a very, very small market, and you don't have many options. So today, hypothetically, you can clearly see that Amazon and Flipkart are doing well in India, right? We are all buying from them. But can I buy those stocks? I can't buy them because they're not listed.
True.
So how do I buy them? I feel today that, after the pandemic gets over, restaurants will do booming business. Now, how many restaurant companies are listed in the Indian stock market? You can't even perhaps think of even one in that sense.
Very few.
If you look at what has happened in the last 1 year, all our kids at home, even us, we have been playing games. We have been, video games, online games, whatever, watching a lot of Netflix and Amazon Prime. Now, do I have any stock in India where I can, invest in gaming companies or online content? You don't have options. So I think a lot of those options are there in the overseas market. And therefore, what it leads to is diversification. So actually, if you see our global consumer trends fund, which is doing extremely well, uh, the fund has generated a 25% CAGR return over the last 10 years, 25% CAGR. If you think about the Nifty, it has delivered a 10% return.
True, true.
So this is 2.5 times that.
Mm.
Now, when I look at that portfolio, the portfolio PE multiple is lower than India. Okay. Uh, I always highlight one slide in that presentation, which basically shows that if you invest in the Nifty, your standard deviation, which is your risk, is 18. And if you invest in that global fund, your standard deviation is yet the same, it is 18. But if you combine them, if you buy 50% of India and 50% of that global fund, the standard deviation reduces to 14. So what are you achieving? You are achieving massive risk reduction in your overall portfolio, and that is very important for the client. If his risk reduces and his returns remains even same, it's a great outcome. And that is precisely the reason why uh, I mean these global funds offer you the diversification, and they will reduce the risk if they are not correlated. So look, if you get into very thematic funds, like it's only in the technology sector, or it's only in one particular country, then those country risk and those sector risks will be there. But if you invest in a diversified fund, which is investing all across the globe, your risk will reduce substantially. And I think that is a very important point which investors need to understand, that you will not only perhaps get higher returns, but more importantly, your entire portfolio risk is reducing.
Reduced. Oh, yeah, that's a valid point. Valid point. And Invesco as a fund house, do you want to have any particular? Because now I'm seeing some fund houses, they want to focus on ETF. Some fund houses want to focus on debt, or some of them say that we are masters of equity only, so we can do that best. Depending on their growth stage. Some of them are very early starting people, so they can manage better equity or whatever, maybe could be the reason. So where would be your focus as Invesco as a fund house going forward?
No, so look, you did mention our global size earlier, but we are one of those 10 global asset managers which manages over $1 trillion in assets. So we are at $1.4 trillion in assets today.
Very good.
If you see our breakup, half of it is in equities, around 25% is in debt. Then we have alternatives, then we have ETFs. ETFs is a very big business for us. So globally, we are number 4 in ETFs. We have almost $300 billion in ETFs worldwide.
Okay.
I think the way we look at the Indian markets is that at this point of time, active funds are yet doing well. All our active funds have been able to beat the benchmark over 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and have been able to generate significant alpha. At some point of time, we will bring our range of ETF products also in the country. And from our perspective, as I said, we will focus on offering all the products to our partners and clients. Let them pick and choose what they have, they need from their asset allocation perspective.
Okay.
So we will be getting into that area sooner than later.
Okay, very good, very good. And say like one of the points talked by many people is, for the markets to come down, interest rates should start moving up. Probably in US, interest rates, if moves up, then there could be markets could tank or come down. Similarly, in India, if RBI increases the rates, so with the massive, as you mentioned, $7-8 trillion flowing into the economies, so this will indirectly create, inflation.
Yes.
So at some point of time, this inflation is going to kick in and markets are going to come down. So this is, what is your thoughts on this aspect and when this could happen, and if at all, how long this can be postponed?
I think that's a very fair question. I think the biggest risk at this point of time this market is facing is central banks pulling back on the stimulus and interest rates going up. So clearly these two are by far the biggest risks. Is this going to happen soon? I don't think so. Because if you look at even RBI policy which came in today, and you look at US, they are taking a very sort of long-term approach on this, where they are categorically saying that for the next 1 to 2 years, we will keep interest rates low. So till 2022 to 2023, they want to keep interest rates low. In one third of the part of the world, they are negative. So you are actually losing money if you invest in their bond, in a way. And because of that, the money is flowing into the riskier asset class. Now, even if they start raising interest rates, from negative, it will come to 0.5, it will go to 1, it will go to say 2%. I think it yet has a long way to go. It's not going to happen in a hurry, and it will happen over multiple years. And at that point of time, markets can take a breather, no question on that. But is it going to happen in the immediate future? I think because of this COVID crisis, virtually all the central banks are taking a very flexible approach and saying that let the interest rates remain low for an extended period of time, so that there is not much burden on the consumers and investors.
Okay. Sure. If I'm right, our fixed deposit base, bank FD base in the country is about 120 lakh crore approximately. So now mutual fund industry is under 30 lakh crore. But so when do you see this magic 3-digit number, the mutual fund industry touching 100 lakh crore?
It's an outcome, Mr. Chokalingam. I'll let that number. This thing, if as an industry we focus on the number of retail investors, if that number reaches 10 crores, then this number will also become 3 digits, no doubt on that. So let's try and get the investors convinced that this is a good product to be in.
True.
I think the AUM will follow.
For the investors who are viewing this video, where do you see the Indian economy in the next 10 years? Because whenever I'm talking to investors, I talk, if you are coming to equity funds, at least keep 7 to 10 years. Minimum 5 years, 7 to 10 years is a better period. Then only you can see that substantial growth. So where do you see the Indian economy in the next 10 years, and hence the growth in mutual fund returns?
Look, clearly, I think the last decade, 2010 to 2020, whatever we may say, but from a return standpoint, hasn't been great.
True.
Nifty has delivered only a 10% CAGR return. If you look at any longer period prior to that, it was at least 15%.
True.
We have also missed this whole aspect of manufacturing boom, which many countries like China or even emerging countries like Taiwan, Korea have enjoyed. We were known as an agriculture economy and a services economy. We have just missed that whole manufacturing boom. I think some of these reforms which have taken place in the last 2-3 years, which is lowering of corporate tax and giving incentives to manufacture in India, and everybody is realizing that you have such a big market in India that I do definitely need to shift, and de-risk myself from China. I think that will play out. So I'll be very disappointed if in the next 10 years, this 10% last decade return is not beaten. It should be better than that, purely because you have a situation where we know that we have made a mistake in the last 10 years, which we need to correct. And therefore, government is taking steps to, sort of increase the manufacturing base. Today, the road construction is at an all-time high. The spending on infrastructure, all those things are also happening at all-time highs. We did speak about earlier that the number of people entering the workforce is increasing. 2 crore people joining the new workforce. That will have an impact also. And at the same time, new companies are getting listed. So I think a combination of all these three I'm pretty sure that the next decade will be better than the last one, because we are in that period of growth. If you have become a very large economy like Japan and already touched a peak in the 1990s, then you are already at the top and you are struggling to maintain that. I think we are far away from that. So, let's hope that this next decade is much more better than the last one. I'm pretty confident of that.
Okay. Thanks. And with the COVID thing, the first quarter has been more or less a washout. I mean,
Yes.
so how quick our economy can recover, assuming that by June end, things, the serious things get over, and from July, from the second quarter, we start better. So will it take another 1 or 2 quarters to get normalized? When do you see this?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. Beginning of the year in April, we were looking roughly at earnings estimate growth of 23%. I think we will need to scale that down to around 18% because the first quarter has been a washout. And I think it will go into the second quarter also. At least maybe till August perhaps, because in various other parts of India, COVID is yet increasing the number of cases. So I think that whole earnings growth trajectory, which we were forecasting as 23%, may come down to 17-18%. But it's got delayed. It's not that it has taken a big knock in a way. Yeah, I would say that the earnings will get delayed by a quarter, which is fine. If the reason also for global diversification, is actually again this. If you look at countries like US, UK, even a small country like Israel, who have basically vaccinated themselves, almost 70, 80, 100% of their population has got vaccinated. They will be able to bounce back a lot more quicker. In our case, currently we are giving roughly 3 million doses a day. And our sense is by August that will increase to 8 to 9 million doses a day. Now, if that happens, then we are looking at the entire country getting vaccinated, say by next year Jan-Feb period. So we are very positive, that from FY22 it should come back to normalcy, and then there will be a lot of pent-up demand which will also get satisfied. The next 6 months may be tricky, and we just have to be careful about it, that we don't get into a third wave or a fourth wave, which many other global countries have gone through. There's no option to getting yourself vaccinated, so just do it at the earliest possible. It will be for our own good and for the good of the economy.
Yeah, true. A couple of questions we can with that we can end up the conversation.
Sure.
One is, do you expect any package from government of India? Unlike last time, finance minister came out very often and they announced some measures, but I'm not seeing big measures this time. So is there anything?
No, it's difficult. It's a fair point that expectation is there, but we also need to be cognizant of the fact that India is not a rich economy. Whatever we had to give, we have given it in the past. And we can't continuously keep doling out these kind of stimulus packages like perhaps the developed markets have, because they were rich economies. We are not a rich economy in a way. So I will calibrate my expectations of a big stimulus packages from here on. I think it will be more focused on very, very needy sectors, or if some sector is facing extreme pain, I think it will be redirected there rather than giving a stimulus package across the board.
Okay, fair enough. And one of the most affected during this COVID period is bottom of the pyramid people,
Yes.
the jobless or whatever it is. Well-off people are getting their salaries more or less kind of, but for the bottom of the pyramid, it is, you get paid when you work. So your thoughts, just whatever you think about them or how things could be better.
No, it's extremely unfortunate, and we all feel for them. I think we really feel for them because clearly in this COVID period, on one side, markets have gone up, so the rich have become richer. But the bottom of the pyramid has really got affected.
Yeah.
I think we need, all of us individually, we need to focus our attention on that and try and see in whichever form or fashion we can be of help to them. We should do that.
True.
They really need our help at this point of time, and we should do whatever it takes to help them.
True. With that, my most of my questions are over. Just now, if you would like to share something on your personal front to our viewers, say like whatever you like sharing it, so it will give a personal touch, so that whenever they want to see, a lot of students might be viewing this video, or a lot of industry people may be viewing this video. What are your would you like to share something with your viewers about your hobbies, likes, dislikes, whatever maybe?
No, look, I think even in our wildest dreams, we would have not expected this situation to ever, happen. 15 months back when we were working, 15th of March last year, there was no lockdown. And now you are basically 15 months into this lockdown period. So I think life is a great leveler. Don't underestimate anything. Don't underestimate environment, pandemic, how it can bring you down to earth.
Correct.
I think this last 15 months, there have been a lot of negatives because of the pandemic effect, but the positives are that we have spent a lot of time with our families. We have spent a lot of time reaching out to old friends, who we would not have spoken with otherwise in many years. So I have taken time out and I have done that. I've watched a lot of movies at home. I'm now tired of watching movies and watching serials. So I just want to basically be able to play sports, actually play sports rather than watching sports. And no, what else? Yeah, as I said, the positives have been that you've been able to spend more time with family, and you have been able to understand I think I've become slightly more holier and more God fearing in this period than ever before.
Very good, very good, very good. Thank you very much for sharing such knowledge, your knowledge to the viewers and everyone. And it was great speaking with you. Probably, so I would like to see Invesco AEM grow double. Of course, outcome, doesn't matter for you. It will come automatically. Your Indian assets, I would like to see you sometime when we meet next time, probably a 1 lakh crore assets. That would be a great thing. And, industry has grown, you have grown, we have grown, everyone. Industry has become richer, everyone. And probably see you sometime soon when things, go, everything becomes normal and people start leading their normal life, regular life. We will meet sometime.
No, I would love to basically see you in person and see your clients in person at the first given opportunity. So that will be my first wish. I think everything else will follow.
Sure. Thank you, Saurabh. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chokalingam, and all the best and stay safe.